what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there this morning and having a great start to your day. A fantastic start to that weekend. Hope you all enjoyed the snow yesterday that got it. For certain areas, it did overachieve. For a couple areas, it did not to meet the forecast amounts, like the New York City region. I don't even think you guys got like an inch of snow. You were forecast around 2 to 3 inches. So sometimes it's just like that. But, you know, the DC region, Baltimore, pretty much was right on par with the forecast. Got an appreciable snow event out of this. Several inches of snow fell. Areas of like Delaware got, I saw a reading, it was like 6 or 7 inches of snow. So, it was nice to see these areas get snow really over the last week that did not really get anything last winter and really hasn't had a several inch snowfall event along this section of the I-95 corridor in the Mid-Atlantic in a couple of winters. So it was really cool to see for you folks. Happy for you guys. It definitely looks like a winter wonderland out there with this Arctic air that's kind of settled in and kind of froze everything up for a lot of areas of the country. So we'll speak on that. The main portion of the system is heading on out, but we're still left with the lake effect snow because the Arctic air has surged over the Great Lakes, and we're still left with a little bit of northwest flow event across the higher elevations of the Appalachian Mountains. So we'll discuss that, and then we'll talk on what's going on out west. Just a lot of scattered moisture, higher elevation snow, even some ice out there, and lower elevation rain. So we'll speak on that, but I'm going to tell you, the middle of the country is very quiet, and that will be different as we head to the end of the weekend into early next week. We'll talk about what I mean here in a second, but we'll kind of cruise on through today's forecast because there's nothing really significant ongoing over the next 24 hours. And like I said, stay tuned for the second half of the video. We're going to talk about an ice storm potential. And yes, I do think this is going to be an all-out ice storm as moisture kind of catches up with a fleeting air mass and this Arctic air mass we got in place right now across areas of the southern plains, maybe even the Midwest. I'm talking about Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, even sections of northern Texas could get some significant icing. So this is kind of something that snuck up on us, and we're going to get detailed on it in this video. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and stay tuned for tonight. We're going to talk deeper into the pattern overall coming up, and I am watching something at the very end of the month for you folks in the eastern U.S. that could develop. We'll talk on that in detail in tonight's video. If you guys got anything I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling. So, like I said, there's not a whole lot going on out there. The middle of the country is dead quiet, very cold. We got the lake effect snow just kind of affecting the typical areas. This is more so right now a north to south kind of flow. So you're not kind of getting that northwest to southeast flow off Lake Superior like you typically do. It's more vertical. We're still getting a little bit of lake effect snow off Ontario and Erie. And then we're probably going to get some wraparound snow showers in the Adirondacks, Green and White Mountains up here in the interior Northeast. And if you look really closely, and a lot of times with this northwest flow stuff and the Arctic air mass, it doesn't show up well on radar, but there is still light snow flying around the Appalachian Mountains, even all the way down to North Carolina and Tennessee. And then we got the moisture out west. We just got rounds of rain moving into the coastline of California. The heavy rain will be probably concentrated here in northern Cal. But, we do have snow showers across the Rockies, even some ice in certain areas where there's a lot of warm air aloft. So, but the middle of the country is really quiet. If you look at watches, warnings, and advisories, you do have flood watches in Northern California, but you will get rain even in Southern California. But it's much quiet compared to what we dealt with over the last 10 days. It really is. We're still getting the lingering winter weather advisories in Ohio Valley, Virginia. We still got winter weather advisories in eastern Kentucky. These will probably get dropped a little later today. Some winter weather advisories in New York because of this lake effect energy. Same thing with Michigan, even one county in Wisconsin. And you do have some winter weather advisories right here in the middle of the country, but in general, it's pretty quiet out there. It really is. Talking about storms, there's none forecast because you got this Arctic air mass settled over the country. You're not going to get thunderstorms most of the time unless you got just some an unusual event, which you do sometimes, especially across the middle of the country. But no thunderstorms are forecast today, so we don't have any severe weather to worry about. Excessive rainfall outlook. There is a slight risk, which means there's at least a 15% risk in the yellow area in Northern California, specifically of flooding, of flash flood guidance being basically occurring within 25 miles into given location. So let's definitely watch out for this region today. But moving into the southeast frame, it's going to be a pretty quiet day, and you're not really going to be able to see it on this, but we do have the risk of just snow showers in the higher elevations of the southern Alps, like North Carolina and Tennessee. You guys got hit hard with several inches of snow yesterday. It was a winter wonderland. I loved seeing all the videos and the pictures out of this region. It was pretty wild. I mean, even up into eastern Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, you're not seeing much actually falling when I kind of go through this, but there is still snow kind of flying around up here in the higher elevations of the Appalachian Mountains. But, in general, the rest of the country is really quiet. Nothing's going to go on today. Stable Arctic air mass in place, frigid temperatures. You're going to have sub-freezing highs across even areas of the south, all the way down to northern Alabama, North Georgia, the Piedmont of North Carolina, maybe even upstate South Carolina will even struggle to get above freezing today. And then tonight, especially east of the Appalachian Mountains, will be a frigid night. Very, very cold. Coldest night of the winter so far. But, it's going to be a pretty quiet day weather-wise across the southeast. The northeast, a little bit more active, only because of the lake effect energy. But, we make our way into midday. We got some snow shower activity up here into the Tuck Hill Plateau, the Adirondacks, maybe even up here in Maine too. And you sort of keep this going, and some of this is going to be lake enhanced. We could get some snow that kind of drifts into the Syracuse region, northern sections of the Finger Lakes. Some snow will begin to fall again in Erie, and we could definitely get some snowfall in Buffalo, even though it's not showing up here. And we keep this going, and we need to watch for sort of some ocean effect snow. This happens a lot with these Arctic air masses out here on Cape Cod, even Nantucket. You guys will probably get some snow later this evening. In fact, they're calling for a little accumulation, but some light snow is possible across New York, and then some wraparound snow will affect areas of Maine. Just some light snowfall totals, but it's going to be so cold that anything that falls is going to accumulate. So, you look at snowfall forecasts in this region. We'll kind of zoom into the lake effect areas in the northwest Florida region. Another few to maybe several inches of snow could fall in West Virginia. The Allegheny Mountains in this region, all the way into, Pennsylvania. A couple more inches of snow could fall in western Maryland. Erie could get another 4 to 5 inches of snow between now and the next 24 hours. And, just offshore or just a couple, several miles inland from Lake Erie, you could get several inches of snow. Rochester, a few to several inches of snow from this, but not much in Buffalo today. The flow does not really support lake effect snow hitting you guys, but you could get squeezing another inch or so, and could get some northwest flow, snow showers that could break into Washington, D.C., the Delmarva region, even a little bit down here into kind of the coastal regions of Maryland, Southeast VA. You guys could get a little bit of kind of what we call bay effect snow. Arctic air kind of surging over these regions right here in Maryland. And don't be surprised in southern Maryland, sort of the Chesapeake region down here in Southeast VA, sees a little bit of snowflake action a little bit later this evening. I wouldn't be surprised one bit at all. But, you look over to Massachusetts, Mass, and, a little bit of snow is possible out here on Cape Cod. It's very, very possible. A little bit of accumulating snow from this ocean effect snow out here, from the Arctic air kind of rolling over the ocean waters, which are certainly warm compared to the air temperatures, which fires up some moisture. But the south central U.S., nothing's going on. That'll be a different story here in the next couple of days, and we'll discuss that here in a second. But today, enjoy the day, chilly day. But, there's not going to be anything going on really at all. Some moisture starts to move into western sections of New Mexico. And as we're waking up Sunday morning, this is when some freezing rain could begin to enter the picture here in southwest sections of Texas, where Arctic air is still just kind of lingering around at the surface mainly. So we'll have to watch for that. But we go up here to the north central U.S. Really the only thing that we'll deal with today is the lake effect snows off Superior and Lake Michigan. You guys in it's like northern sections of Indiana overachieved. I saw a reading where someone got, I believe, over 2 feet of snow in a town in northern Indiana. So this is definitely overachieved already. And you will continue just to get a funnel of lake effect snow. I think this will be more positioned over extreme southwest Michigan, but we'll see what happens. And we're getting into this evening. This continues. And I think finally, as we are getting into Sunday morning, the lake effect energy kind of shuts off for the most part, and you're pretty much done with this several day long event that you guys have been dealing with. But another couple inches of snow is possible in the central UP region. Here in southwest Michigan, another couple to maybe several inches of snow is possible in northern sections of Indiana could get a little snow. And then, you could get a dusting of snow that kind of sweeps through Indiana into southwest sections of Ohio, maybe even northern Kentucky throughout the day, but I won't expect much from this at all. Out west, we're just dealing with the rains that are already moving into the coastal sections of California, Oregon. We will continue to deal with this. Even some rain will make it all the way down to San Diego, Los Angeles. Just kind of a thin area of moisture sweeps through the Rockies, and it'll start to just be good old-fashioned rain in Eugene. No freezing rain. You guys are going to start to finally warm up and recover in this area, but some more freezing rain is possible, kind of in these valley regions right here in Oregon and southern Washington state. But just rain, snow, and you got to get way up. This is kind of a warmer system, but snow in the Cascades. Snow begins to fall in the Sierra Nevada later tonight. But, the northern half of California is going to get a good bit of moisture, but southern California is going to get some rain too. Not much, but, it doesn't take much down here. You guys don't typically get as much rain. And then just the majority of this system continues to kind of chug eastward. And then we start to see some moisture that gets all the way into Arizona, Phoenix, snowing in the higher elevations of Nevada. Lower elevations, just rain. We're still dealing with just pesky ice here between sections of, the Cascades and the Rockies. You're still dealing with some ice. So you look at how much stuff could fall today, and you look at moisture in general. Most of the moisture is centered here in Northern California. But you do look at the ice, and you're still going to deal with this solid glaze of ice across, sections of central and east central Washington state. So be aware of this. Northern Oregon, kind of the same deal, and snowfall between now and the next 24 hours is really confined to these higher elevations. You got to get way up there before you start to see snow. The snow levels have certainly risen just because you're starting to get a ridge that's building into place out here. Temperatures, very cold across the central and eastern U.S. Places even across the south like Atlanta, you're going to struggle to get above freezing today. You're probably not going to get above freezing. If you do, it'll only hit 33, 34 degrees. And just a very cold day, folks. Very, very cold day across, pretty much two-thirds of the country. The entire northeast, mid-Atlantic, that snowpack ain't going nowhere. The lingering snow on the ground all the way down here in Tennessee, it ain't going to melt today. A bright sunshine, beautiful day, but, it's just going to be a day where you're not really want to go outside. You really aren't. It's just too cold. Even down here in Florida, you guys, I know the iguanas start falling off the trees when it gets too cold down here, and, we're probably going to be seeing that. The pictures and the videos of that's sad, but it happens, especially down there near Miami. Temperatures are going to get quite chilly down here tonight especially, but a cold day across the deep south. Temperatures out west, they're starting to get back to above average temperatures, but, stick to your local people with this, microclimates and all that good stuff. But still a pretty warm day across southern Arizona. But it's around average out here. Nothing too crazy compared to average one way or the other. So the next thing we're watching going forward, we'll kind of show you the pieces coming together for this ice event. So you see this blue area, that's low pressure, the ridging right here. But we still, even though you see this big blob of orange, basically, this ridge of high pressure, you probably immediately think, well, there has to be warmer than average temperatures over this area of the country. That's not what it means. Remember, we don't live at 500 millibars, which is what this is. That's several thousand feet up in the air. And remember, Arctic air is very shallow. It hangs at the surface, so you still have a lot of Arctic air at the surface in this region, even though you're starting to get higher heights built into the region, ridging starting to build over. At the same time, you're getting this upper level low feature that's kind of yanking moisture. And let's go one more round here. Yanking moisture into this region. I don't know if this is going to work for us. It might. Let's see. And it is. We're good to go. But this is helping to kind of yank moisture out the south into this region. So we're getting moisture kind of pulled up into this area. And this entire region right here, I'll just put check marks. There is still Arctic air in place at the surface. Even though it's kind of scooting on out, there's still very cold air at the surface. So you're getting moisture that's going to overrun this kind of fleeting Arctic air mass. Kind of rounding, getting pulled up because of the wind flow around this upper level low feature that's going to get fully cut off from out west. All right, hope that makes sense. So if you continue to move this forward, what does this look like as far as precipitation? We'll start this Sunday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. And you see the green down here, this is just rain, but you still got some chilly air hanging around the surface. All right, and you see this pink? That's freezing rain. So you keep this going. We're going all the way out to Sunday evening. Look at this freezing rain, west of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, starting to move over the Red River region, starting to move over into southern Oklahoma, Oklahoma City. There's still a lot of cold air in this area. And then we get into the overnight hours of Sunday night and Monday. We're getting an all-out freezing rain event. I mean, even deep, the NAM is showing even pretty far south into Texas. All this purple, that's freezing rain. We got this area of freezing rain all the way up here into southern sections of Nebraska, northern Kansas. It's very scattered about. I think we're going to get a solid freezing rain event in northwest Arkansas. Even some sleet mixing in with this, with some colder air still in place at, aloft. I think this will be a much more marginal event. I don't think this is going to be falling with temperatures in the teens. Certainly more so in the 20s, maybe low 30s. But you keep this going and, we wake up Monday morning and we got a big slug of freezing rain heading right towards St. Louis. Kind of this pinkish orange color right here in Iowa. That's more so sleet. It even has freezing rain falling into areas of like the Dallas-Fort Worth region. Scattered light to moderate freezing rain falling across western sections of Arkansas, northern Arkansas, like I said, Missouri. This is going to cause issues. This is something that's actually uptrended in time. And I'm going to show you at the end what the National Weather Service is showing as far as ice totals. But you go all the way out to 60 hours, which is as far out as we can go. And finally, you start to warm up. But you're still hanging on to freezing rain all the way into Monday midday in eastern, I would say central Oklahoma, and even sections of Arkansas, and certainly getting some freezing rain all the way up into Illinois, eventually all the way up into Chicago and Missouri. So, what does the GFS show? We'll take more of a broad look at this. Same thing, the pink is freezing rain. There it is, spreading in tomorrow evening across Oklahoma. And then we're getting into the wee hours of the morning, like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. Look at the heavy freezing rain down here in Oklahoma, kind of the Dallas region just north. The Red River area getting hit hard with freezing rain. Freezing rain all the way up into the Kansas City region, Springfield, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Tulsa. And you keep this going, and it wants to just bring kind of some light snow into the Chicago region. I would argue this is going to be more of a wintry mix. But look at all this freezing rain falling Monday morning across northwest Arkansas. And then finally it warms up enough for this to fall mainly as rain as we get into Monday afternoon. But it's still hanging on to freezing rain up here in Missouri. And then we're taking it all the way at this point to Monday evening. Look at the freezing rain Monday night into Tuesday morning into Chicago. Showing some snow. That's possible. And especially if we can get another injection of cold air into this, very briefly. But it wants to bring a winter storm into Iowa and to Wisconsin. So this is new off the GFS. We'll have to watch. It wants to kind of throw some colder air aloft into this and make this a heavy snow event. But, models don't really agree with that. And then even after that, folks, we continue just to get a slug of moisture. We get this sort of this upper level low feature that kind of hangs out in Texas and Oklahoma that continues just to bring a very moist flow on the right edge of it. And we're probably going to have a flooding concern early to midway next week for Arkansas, sections of Louisiana. We'll speak more on that as we get deeper into this weekend. But, we look at the European, it's the same thing, folks. I mean, you see the pink, that's freezing rain. Look at the freezing rain event. Now, this is going to be an ice storm, I think. I think this will be an all-out ice storm for areas of Oklahoma. I mean, look at Arkansas. Look at northwest and western Arkansas as we're getting into Monday morning. That's a solid freezing rain event. Luckily, you don't get this Arctic air mass that is moving into place. It's kind of leaving. So the damage is going to be done, and then you'll quickly melt. I really do think. Very quickly. But yeah, we got to watch this event. And, this really tells you how marginal this event is. We'll go all the way to about Monday morning, which is really the meat of this storm, right? We got freezing rain falling in Arkansas. The blend of all models has you in western Arkansas, northwest sections, even into sections of Missouri, Oklahoma, where there's freezing rain falling, you're only in the upper 20s, low 30s. Now, I know you're thinking, well, it shouldn't be that bad if it's not that cold. Well, we used to get ice storms all the time here in South Carolina. We did, and it seemed like it happened. We at least get one freezing rain event every winter, whether it was big or moderate or small. But some of the worst ice storms happen at around 30, 31 degrees. Typically, the really, really cold ice events, like in the low 20s, upper teens. Typically, there isn't a lot of precipitation involved. But I've seen some really bad ice storms happen at around 30, 31 degrees. So please take this serious. The good news is if you keep this going, look how the warm air starts to move in. So that's the good news. You do start to warm up, but not before all the damage is done. Folks, this is forecast ice totals from the National Weather Service. Guys, they are already going, and we're going to zoom into this area probably this evening when we have some graphics from the National Weather Service. But, you know, they're going for 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice, maybe in the Oklahoma City region, Tulsa, kind of the same thing. But you start to get kind of east of this area, right down here, they're already going for over 1/4 inch of ice. And I mean, you know, this darker shade of pink, that's over 1/4 inch of ice forecast in this region. You know, and then you go into Missouri, and I mean, Springfield, this is going to be a decent ice event, already calling for over 1/10 of an inch of ice around the St. Louis area. And I mean, even up into like the Midwest, they're already calling for over 1/10 of an inch of ice in sections of Chicago. It's an area that doesn't typically get as much ice as other people, but snowfall, you know, and not calling for much snow with this. So we're going to watch this, folks. We'll continue to keep you updated. This is something that's kind of snuck up on us. I've been watching it for a few days, but it's really uptrended into more of a significant scenario. So that's all I got. I have you a video this evening. God bless all y'all, and have a great Saturday.